friends, Low Carb Keith here, back in my kitchen. I'm getting ready to fix something for dinner. Today I'm going to make some low carb beef and broccoli. Okay, it's just going to be a skillet dish that I'm going to whip together here on the stove, and it's going to be pretty simple and pretty easy to do. So let's start out. The first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of butter in my skillet. Even though it's a non-stick skillet, I like butter in it. Okay, I took a small onion and chopped that up already, so I'm going to put that in there. Okay. And I took a box of mushrooms and I cleaned them and cut them up, and I'm going to put that in there. So we're going to cook our onions and our mushrooms first before we do anything else. So there we go. I hope you all are having a good day. It is the Saturday before Easter Sunday, and my wife and I, we just went to the grocery store and got groceries probably for about the next week. It's not something we do very often, go together. Most of the time it's on our own, but we decided to do it this weekend. We were both home from work. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to cook our onions and our mushrooms first, and then we're going to add a pound of ground beef. I've got some broccoli that is in the microwave right here that I cooked, that I steamed in the microwave, that we're going to add to it. And then we've got a couple other things that we're going to add to it as we go along. So this is it. This is what we're having. All right, friends, my mushrooms and onions cooked, and I took them off the skillet. So now we're going to put the ground beef in and get it cooked. And this is just regular old 80-20 ground beef. You know, you could, if beef and broccoli, you could use just really any kind of beef that you wanted to, but I'm just going to use regular ground beef. Put that in there. You turn it down just a little bit. All right. Chop it up. Put a little bit of my flour seasoning salt on it while it's cooking. Get it seasoned, and I'm going to cover that with a lid. Let it cook from the top and the bottom. So there's that. I cooked those mushrooms and the onions, and man, those mushrooms sure did have a lot of moisture in them, probably more than I've ever seen. So I let them cook for a while and cook that moisture off. But once you get your meat cooked, it doesn't take very long to finish this. I'm guessing this is probably a 30-minute preparation for a meal. So and this beef, it's going to have some grease in it. I'll probably have to drain it before I finish it, but that's okay. We don't want to leave it in there too much because it will get too greasy. But, you know, leaving a little bit of it is good, especially when you're doing low carb. You've got to have some fat in your diet, okay? That's kind of one of the tenets of low carb eating, is protein and fat replace the carbohydrates as far as making you feel, you know, satisfied and full, things such as that. So you do want to have a little fat in your diet, good fats, but it's not going to hurt you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our mushrooms and our onions back in to it. All right. Trying to get those mixed up. And we're going to add our broccoli into it. And let's make sure that broccoli is drained, because we put a little water in it to warm it up. All right. Add our broccoli back in. All right, good. We're going to get it kind of all mixed up together. Now, this next step is you can have lots of different options of things that you can do for this next step. I'm going to use what I have in the refrigerator. And that is, I've got some sour cream, okay, and some cream cheese spread. So I'm going to put a little bit of sour cream in there. All right, and get it open, and some. Actually, I'm going to do the cream cheese first. Okay. Maybe a couple of tablespoons of it. And now we're going to take our sour cream, which I'm just going to use the rest of the box. There's not very much of it left. And we're just going to add that into our mix. Just like that. There we go. I'm going to mix that up. And then I'm going to cover it. There's not much of it. You could add, if you wanted to add some heavy cream, you could add some heavy cream into this. So what this has done is it's giving just a little bit of sauce for it. And when I get it mixed up, it's not going to be thick like a casserole. It's just going to give a little bit of a sauce and a little bit of flavor to it. Make sure we get all that cream cheese melted good and mixed up with it. There we go. Just like that. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to low, or kind of medium low, and I'm just going to let it sit there, probably for 15 minutes or so before we finish it up. All right. We'll come back in about 15 minutes. We'll check on it, and we're going to add a little bit of cheese to it, a little bit more cheese, and then it'll be ready to eat. All right, friends, my beef and broccoli has been on the kind of in a low to medium heat mode for a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, and this is what it looks like. It looks good. It looks like it's about done, but I'm going to do one more thing to it, and that is I'm going to take some, which I love cheese, I'm going to take some shredded cheese. I'm going to put this on top of it, probably a half a cup, okay, about a half a cup, not a lot, and I'm going to let that melt. And once that melts, our dish will be ready to taste. Shouldn't take but just a minute or two. All right. It looks like my cheese is melted. It's nice and gooey. Not a lot, but just enough. So we're going to take a little bit of it out. We're going to take a dish, put a little bit of it on there. I'm going to give it a taste, just a little bit, because this is what I'm planning on having for supper tonight. So let's turn that off. All right, this is it. This is what it looks like. Got that little stringy cheese with it. Here we go, right here. All right, my keto beef and broccoli with a little bit of cheese. This was sort of a recipe that I sort of made up and said, I think that would work. So let's take a taste. Mm. Mm. That is fantastic. It's not, that sour cream and cream cheese is not overpowering. I didn't put a lot in there. The shredded cheese is not overpowering. That beef and broccoli go together well with the onions and the mushrooms. It's just delicious. Mm. It really is. And this will be easily 4 servings, okay? So if you want it for your family or if you just want it for yourself, eat it over several days. And it only has about 5 net carbs per serving. So it's really fairly low carb. It's delicious. And there it is. It works. I'm glad it does. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Be sure and follow me on social media. I'm Low Carb Keith at all the social media sites. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all those places. I hope you have a happy Easter Sunday tomorrow. And I'll be back in about a week or so with another low carb recipe.